We are joined live right now by Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew. Hi, Premier Kinew. It's good to see you again. Thank you very much for making the time.
Thanks for having me back.
I wanted to start off just with that last line of the tweet and get your instinctive reaction. If Canada makes a deal with China, it will immediately be hit with a 100% tariff, Donald Trump writes, against all Canadian goods and products coming into the United States. How do you respond, Premier? And do you think he's actually going to follow through on it?
Donald Trump? You know, if you and I want to play a game trying to predict what Donald Trump is going to do, I don't know if any of us are going to come out the other side of that as winners. But what I would say is that this is the reality that Canada is in. And I hope Canadians are buckled up and ready for the ride, because we have to be able to do negotiations and deal making with China here in Western Canada for the entirety of the past little while. We've been dealing with real life economic impacts to canola, to pork, because of the tariffs and the threat of more from China. And then at the same time, we got to balance all of that with what's going on in the United States. And at the same time, not just look at the economics of the situation, but we also have to be able to speak with moral clarity when we see outrageous things like what we're seeing in Minnesota right now, just south of us, or equally on the other side of the world, you know, infringing on human rights that the Chinese Communist Party might be engaged in on a given day. So it's a very complicated equation that I think Canada has to try and solve for. It's a really delicate balancing act, but the importance is unity. We have to stick together across the different regions of the country, across the different sectors of the economy, dealing with these superpowers. The only way we have a chance is if we stick together within Canada.
I have a number of questions on what that means from an economic perspective, but you did mention Minneapolis, and of course Minnesota is a neighbor to Manitoba. I think there are a lot, you know, this is a huge deal to us, this tweet, this post in Canada, but that the second time an ICE agent has killed somebody in Minneapolis is a huge story that I think has gripped a lot of people in this country as well. It's very difficult to process what we're watching. And I'm just wondering if I could pick up on your point there and ask you, you know, as you watch that unfold, what is going through your mind? What is the moral clarity that you talked about?
Well, what is happening in Minnesota is outrageous. And I reached out and had a back and forth with Governor Walz yesterday just to offer support and let him know how that looks for us. We just want the thing to get ratcheted down there. This is one of our neighboring states. This is an important trading partner. We have big Manitoba businesses with a lot of operations in Minnesota. Let's get back to normal. Let's get back to an America, not just as a reliable trading partner, but an America that doesn't have military operations being carried out in large, important cities. Again, I think that Canada has to speak with moral clarity right now. We all want to have good business relations with the U.S. We all want to have good business relations with the rest of the world. But we also have to do that while being proud of the flag. We also have to be proud of who we are as the Canadian peacekeepers that we have been over the years. We also have to be that beacon for human rights, especially at a time when global powers are taking a step back from being the champions of human rights. So I know there's going to be a lot of business voices across the country saying just, you know, keep your head down and do a deal at all costs. But I think the average Canadian knows that we want more than just business as usual. Yes, we want strong economic relations. Yes, we want strong economic ties. But we also want to be able to look ourselves in the mirror at the end of the day.
Do you think, given what we're seeing from Trump, that what you just described is possible? Because I think what you're saying reflects how most Canadians feel, right? Like they're watching a lot of this stuff with outrage, and at the same time they're worried about putting food on the table and what, you know, for example, this 100% tariff or the removal of USMCA would mean more largely for the economy and for their own jobs. Like what you describe, do you really think it's possible?
It's essential. Not only is it possible, it's what we're going to have to be. Because the idea of saying we're never going to be the 51st state, of saying we're always going to be the true north, strong and free, means that we are going to have to stand up for our values as Canadians, which is being inclusive, being positive on the world stage, trying to bring people together and be that peacekeeper. But at the same time, We have to put food on the table. We have to help everybody who's worried about the cost of living and everybody who's dealing with the pain of the grocery prices that we're seeing right now. And so I think that Mr. Carney had a very strong moment on the international stage with his speech in Davos. Being at the hockey rink. Everybody saw that speech and they were proud of our prime minister that I've spoken to so far. So I think we're showing that we can take that stand. We can articulate our values on the global stage. But now we also need to look after the cost of living, look after putting food on the table, look after protecting jobs. For us, we've been very clear. The Port of Churchill is our contribution to that. It's a mega project that allows Western Canadian resources to get to the European Union more quickly. It allows us even to get Western Canadian resources to the Western Indian refineries more quickly through the Suez Canal than you can from the Port of Vancouver. So not only that, you got a military installation, military presence possible in Churchill. That's just one example. I think every region in Canada is bringing forward their mega projects, their economic diversification priorities. It's not going to be about picking one mega project or picking one region or one sector over the other. In order for us to be able to continue to be proud of our Canadian values, to continue to defend our freedom, we're going to have to do all of the above. We're going to have to build so many of these projects. We're going to have to pursue enhanced trade with so many different markets around the world. And yes, we are going to have to be cognizant and aware of the fact that as we head into the review of CUSMA, the American government is going to keep pushing to try and push Canadians onto the back foot, so that we negotiate from a position of weakness. But again, we can be strategic. We can negotiate from the front foot. We can advance our own interests in the CUSMA review, but we have to stick together in order for us to do so. If we're divided against ourselves, it's not going to work. And so we got to keep working together.
Pardon me, I just have 30 seconds left, and I wanted to ask you in that vein about the meeting between premiers, the next day joined by the Prime Minister in person here in Ottawa this week. There has been a lot less of that unity in some respects on certain files over the past few months. Do you anticipate a change? Do you anticipate that the unity you talk about will be a focus at this meeting?
I disagree. I think the unity is very strong across the different regions of the country. And what I would say is this, and this is a very Canadian thing, we don't have to agree on everything in order to do the big things together. So Premier Ford and I, we're going to have our back and forth about canola and EVs. We're going to have our back and forth about Crown Royal. But at the end of the day, neither one of us is ever going to doubt the other's patriotism. We're never going to doubt another premier's commitment to this country. And on that level, we're going to work together. So yeah, we're going to have tough conversations, interesting conversations from time to time. But I think there is no debate around the Premier's table and the First Minister's table that every single one of us is a proud Canadian and is going to do what it takes to ensure that our country's freedom and that the people in this country can put food on the table for generations to come.
I'll leave it on that note. We look forward to seeing you here in Ottawa this week. Premier, thanks for your time today.
Yeah, thanks so much.